people told us that we could not do it. They said that we were trying to show off, we were diaspora, and something like that would never work here. And 15 to 16 years later, we're still developing one of the best and biggest festivals in the country.
Welcome, dear listeners and viewers, to the Rise and Radiate podcast, a platform where we bring to you daughters and sons of the land, of the communities of the African continent, who will share genuinely from the depths of their journeys, of their struggles, of their doubts, but of their authenticity. Today, we have the radiant Yeniva Sisay with us today. Yeniva, I have to admit that when I'm around you, I feel some kind of energy, um, and it's a bit difficult for me to discern. But I do believe it has to do with purpose. It also has to do with kindness that you share without effort, like effortlessly. But I think it also has to do with the passion that I know you have for education, um, for empowering the minds and freeing even the minds of the African people. I still remember the mantra that you said you go by some years ago. You told me, I still remember them. So that was really very powerful. There are a lot of nuggets. Some like when we call an audience for them to come to learn. I don't know for as a host, but for me, like I learn so much from the people who come, from their own personality, from the passion. I remember there is a time when the audience was clapping so much, and you were like, "I know you are clapping, but are you really getting it? What will you do with it?" That made me think like she is up to something. This woman is so purposeful.
Thank
you know. So, but I do know that not everybody who sees you um on stage, maybe on the wedding festivals, on as the Power Woman 232 founder and other hats that you wear, knows you in I cannot pretend that I know you in the depth, but I mean I don't know you beyond that. So what can you tell us about Yeniva that we don't know um, um, when you are up there sharing and building? And I think where I would even start is the beautiful name.
Thank
What
you.
does it mean?
Sure.
Because I'm sure it has.
It does have a meaning. So Yeniva is a Mendeming. Ye means mother, and Niva means for them. My parents didn't want to name me after one of their mothers. I was a first grandchild, so they named me Yeniva, and that means for our mothers. And it's a name that I carry with pride. It's something that I was born into. It's a leadership. When people of my culture or my tribe hear the name, it lights up, their faces light up, and it makes me feel so special. So my name means so much to me.
That's amazing. What else should you know about your name?
Sure. I think Yeniva is going into her multi-hyphenate era right now. I know that people know me for many different hats, like you said, an educator, girls empowerment, entertainment. And at this era in my life, I'm really just honing in the power that you don't need to be one thing, that you can be able to exist and be excellent in many different facets. I think that society likes to put us in a box, and I'm a kind of person who is always fighting to go outside the box.
That is one of the things that people invite us to do. Like, don't think out of the box without giving us the tools, without us even knowing, like, what do you really mean think out of the box? So, from what you're saying, you try to leave that reality of thinking out of the box, and we'll come back to that. Just wanted to know, like, what type of beliefs you had to debunk or you had to either let go, or you had to adopt for you to be where you are right now?
One of the things that I needed to debunk is that exactly I need to be excellent at one thing, that I can be able to explore and express my talents and my gifts in many different ways. And I could be excellent at all of them and not just necessarily have to choose one. So yes, I'm Yeniva Sisay, the educator, but I'm also the artist manager of Mellow 7. I also, do brunch in Freetown. I run one of the best brunches in the country. And so when you see me in that light, you might think, oh, she's a socialite. But then you may see me on stage and I'm emceeing a dignitary event. It's the debunking the idea that you have to be one singular version of yourself. Try and fail is something that you can go ahead and go after. Even if you may fail at it, you may learn something different. How can you come back stronger? How can you be better at it? I think that many times fear holds us back. And I'm the kind of person who lives authentically in myself. I'm a goal for it kind of person. Give it a try and see what happens.
Also, in the pursuit of all of those roles that you really chose for yourself, is there something, either a ritual, a circle, something you go back, a routine that you go back to after all of those um, very, I'm guessing that it's very, very draining. So do you have a ritual? Do you have a circle that you can lean on, because you give a lot? So, and you also open spaces, hold spaces for many people. So who are the people who hold spaces for you, but also what are the rituals, the routines that you go back?
Meditation is a huge part of my life. Prayer, that centers me. I always go back to my center, and I think that that's really an amazing place for me to be at, and a root of who I am. I surround myself with an amazing circle. I call it my tribe, right? And it's something that I'm intentional about. You don't find your tribe by mistake. It's the people who support you in your times of need, in your joy, who push you to be your best versions of yourself. A part of my tribe is my family, my partner, my friends who I love very much. And it's a sacred circle that I find very important to rooting who I am, but also helping me be the best version of myself.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's very solid, because friends are rare to find, especially the like-minded ones, but also family. Yeah, that's
Mm.
great. And meditation. Meditation is. I really like what you said about prayer being a form of meditation, a form of contemplation, and even gratitude. Because I know many people who have given me the feedback of, you are Sunni. Like, how can you need even like the Eastern rituals, this and I'm just like, you will know later. Even the energy of explaining what it is, because at the end of the day, if you were really present in your prayer, you doing the same thing, you're feeling the same as what you're feeling when you're doing the meditation, which boils down to being the same. So being in this ecosystem, and seeing the youth from an early age with Excel, um, also seeing them graduating, maybe even becoming entrepreneurs, and being very involved in the entrepreneur ecosystem in here. What do you see that entrepreneurs are doing that you think is based off maybe the wrong beliefs? If it's maybe pursuing too much of visibility rather than building the businesses, if it is maybe um, narcissistic behaviors or tendencies that really harms entrepreneurs rather than serving them. Those are the two. And the third one is pursuing success to the point where they forget to maybe celebrate the wins, or even stop and rest and take care of the stuff. Yeah. So those are just examples. But what are you seeing
Yeah.
the entrepreneurs do in the ecosystem that you really think is harmful or should be maybe managed differently?
Yeah. So one thing I want to say is that in the ecosystem, I'm excited about young entrepreneurs and innovators, right? I think that they're taking the bull by the horn and they're not afraid, right? They're just going out there and giving it a try and going for it. And I think that that's really exciting. Another thing that I see that is harmful is that they're chasing the vibes and not chasing the value. Right. So it's about creating this vibe and being in the vibe and all of these things and creating the great flyer and all of those different things, but if you're creating an experience for people, it needs to actually have a structure. Um, even events and things like that have an ecosystem, have a structure in which that needs to be put together. So if you're just chasing the vibes, how is that sustainable? How are you going to recreate that event and make sure that people are going to come back and find the value? So I find that harmful um, in terms of things that are happening particularly in the event space and just watching entrepreneurs um, copy a lot of each other as well. I say no idea is singular or individual. Each person is able to execute their idea from their own perspective. But then we do see a lot of duplication, and we're a very small country. And so a lot of the times we need to exactly focus in on the value. Why are you doing this? What is the intention behind it? What is the sustainability? A lot of people are trying to find quick wins, quick cash, and that doesn't bring value. It actually harms this ecosystem.
Mm, that is another. Because for the longest time, I've been trying to understand what is missing from our own recipe as ecosystem builders, as enablers. What are we missing? Where are we failing them? Because what you just said about the duplication of ideas is real. We've been seeing it, but then I always say that we need to place the mirror in front of us and also see how we are maybe not playing either our role or how we are contributing into pressurizing the entrepreneurs, or even not giving them maybe enough tools for them to explore, for them to innovate, and then even I think creating that culture of this is where you are and don't compare it with anybody's
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
because it's where you are now, and you should be in the journey of becoming a better version that you are building, but teaching them to be kind to themselves.
Yeah.
Which I think is not an African thing. We are not taught to be like kind to ourselves, or even I think what is more precise, or more the issue is we are not taught to be human beings who focus on being, or we are told that you need to do. Like you wake up in the morning, you have to do something. You cannot just be. You cannot just focus on maybe building the internal, the unseen. So I see, yeah, society just forces you to prove that you're doing something. And I think I'm the first culprit, because if I see youth idling around, I'm just so pissed off. I'm like, but what are they doing? They're the ones who should fix the issues. But at the same time, I'm also an advocate for being,
Yeah.
for nurturing the self and all. So do you share that idea of we as the enablers, as ecosystem builders, and as maybe the elders in the culture of entrepreneurship in Sierra Leone have contributed to building that?
I think in ways that you do, I think you lead by example. So for me, I really try to lead my life by example so that, they can point or anybody can point and see that I am actually living authentically like I say it that I am. But it is difficult. It's very, very difficult. And we're in a social media culture in which everything is arrival and it's on show. And even, for myself, I find myself pulling back, actually be able to settle and rest. I think that, as women, we're always taught to just go, to just do, to produce, to do all these different things, and to be hard about it as well. For me, I'm resting in my softness, in my femininity. That does not mean that I'm weak or that I don't have intention, but by leading by example in those kind of ways is how I'm showing young people about how to live authentically. Um, and just also having the conversations, I think conversations like these are very important to just root people back into where they are and where we've come from and where we're going as well, and realize that there's no rush, right? There is no rush. I think, social media, Instagram, TikTok will make you seem like it's so instant, it's so right there. This is all for show. It's all for show. What's happening behind the scenes to make things like that look so good is so much. So you need to be willing and ready to work behind the scenes. Like I said before, it's about having structures, it's about value, it's about sustainability.
So all the more reason for us to also show vulnerability, show when it's not working, show that it's not built overnight, that we have to go through a lot of things, and even show the process. Like how did we do it, so that it doesn't get into the minds of all those who are on social media just thinking that people are born with silver or golden spoons and inherited something or knows something in somewhere.
Yeah.
That's why they're successful. I think it's this what you said. It's because we don't show the process. We don't show the behind the scenes. And that's all the more reason why it's important for us to be really vulnerable and authentic in conversations and platforms like this. I would like you to come back on the femininity, the feminine energy, the feminine leadership, especially when we as women, for the longest time, whenever um, we are going into business, especially in male-dominated sectors, we have the tendency of trying to lead as men or present ourselves as the male culture wants us to be, because we think that's what seals deals, that's what wins markets and contracts. So how could women who are really not comfortable with that masculine way of leading, how can they find their own feminine power and lean into it, lead from it, and really build something that aligns with their woman piece?
Yeah, I think we've been sold the story of exactly being hard, being this aggressive Black woman, and you have to be aggressive in so many facets of our life because to gain the respect that we need, sometimes we have to do that. I think it's about finding balance. And again, it's about having these conversations, right? That you don't, femininity has ruled the world for so long. Rest into it, lean into it, but also find your power in it as well. I stopped the idea that I need to compare myself to males a long time ago or that I need to compete with males. I'm competing with human beings. And my skills, knowledge, and ability needs to be able to shine on the compass in which I could be able to express myself and to be able to communicate with people of the opposite sex, but also to be able to gain the respect. I think that how you walk into the room, how you hold yourself, gives a lot more respect than being necessarily aggressive or rude or hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's so true. And I think also vulnerability, empathy has proven to be really powerful traits uh, in a leader, and it can be associated with female leadership or femininity, which, as you said before, we thought was being weak.
Yeah.
So, like when you are leading and you're showing vulnerability, it means that so that they will see me as someone who doesn't have the what it takes to lead them.
Right.
While now we have realized that that's when you are relatable. That's when people can now follow your leadership because they see that you are so human. Yeah, it's really amazing.
Right.
Coming back to Yeniva and trying to understand your own journey of becoming, what are the what are or when was the time that Yeniva had to show up without being ready, or while doubting, while just having the fear in the belly, but just showing up.
So many times. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 12. I was babysitting people in my neighborhood. Their parents trusted me to be able to do that. And so showing up, I've always just had these really audacious dreams and audacious ideas. And no matter what, I show up in them, scared, unequipped. unskilled, sometimes learning on the job, learning as we go along. There's so many different examples. With Madang, it's a festival that we started in this country before anybody started the Madang Beach Festival. People told us that we could not do it. They said that we were trying to show off, we were diaspora, and something like that would never work here. And 15 to 16 years later, we're still developing one of the best and biggest festivals in the country. And each year we show up unsure about getting funding, unsure about how the support is going to happen. But each year the people come out and they show us that it really matters and they really appreciate what we're building. If we cowered and feared or listened to other people, it would never be happening. But Madang has given birth to so many other different festivals and a platform for young creatives to be able to express themselves and build, like we said, this ecosystem that we currently have.
When people build something that even goes beyond their name, because people might not know who's Yeniva, but anybody you ask about the Mading Festival knows what's the Mading Festival, right? So that power of the creation, and what that could do in an ecosystem, what it can create, what it can even make people believe is possible.
Yeah. And Aminata, in that is the power of teamwork as well. I think that that's very important as well. Collaboration and teamwork. I've never built the Bedang platform on my own. I've built it with an amazing team of other selfless people. We fight, we argue, we love, we create, we develop, we produce. It's not just about the vibes. It's about the vision and turning vision into action and making sure that that vision is something valuable that people want to be able to continue to be a part of. I think that's another thing that's harmful in the ecosystem is that people are working in their silos, in their own, and thinking they have the answer to everything or they know how to do it better than anybody else. And for me, it's coming together, collaboration and creativity can be so much more powerful. Again, I echo Sierra Leone is such a small place, and we feel as though from Sierra Leone, we're going to be able to amplify these voices. You can be a Sierra Leonean anywhere you go. You can be an African anywhere you go. It's about how you process and how are you showing up in a valuable way that shows vision into action.
Absolutely. That's so great. And you talking about teamwork makes me think of how women do need that support system for them to thrive, for them to build, for them to endeavor and explore. There is a saying that goes that it takes a village to raise a kid. But we know that as Africans, we no longer live as we were living before, wherein the community can raise your kid. So it's more of playing the role of being a mom, of a wife, um, multi-potential entrepreneur, having to be the friend, having to be the nurse, having to play all of those roles, but then still lacking that community that would be able to support you. So that makes me feel for the entrepreneurs, especially the female entrepreneurs, given all what society puts on them in terms of the expectations and all that. So when you experience something like that, like the maybe tired moments, when you really feel like I'm so exhausted, and then maybe sometimes even I'm not seeing the results, right? So, like, what does that reveal to you in terms of what we really need to build for entrepreneurs to thrive, in terms of support systems, in terms of an ecosystem that really cares and caters for them?
Yeah, I think like for me, even learning about the ecosystem, right? I'm an entrepreneur. We know that there's an ecosystem out there, but what are the things available to us? What are the values available to us within the ecosystem? How can you tap into your sisters? How can I come into Aminata and say, Aminata, I just want to sit down and talk. I just want to tell you about what's going on. You may find that people are going through the same thing. You may find that they are able to have advice, but this is again in our silos, sitting and thinking that it's only me and woe is me. We all come to vulnerable places in entrepreneurship. It is a very, very difficult journey, but it is a choice. And so again, I'm very intentional about finding my tribe, making sure that I have a network of people that I could be able to lean on. And it's not necessarily people either, it's resources, right? What other resources are within the ecosystem, whether it be with people, whether it be reading, whether it be other podcasts. Like I told you before, I'm a podcast fan. I think that I lean into podcasts more than watching television, because I'm able to learn so much, and I'm able to relate. And so using resources that are available is something that could be able to help that.
So when you are talking, and I told you you have that effect on me whenever we have conversations. But there is one guy who was saying that, like, give me one person, like 50 people like X person, and I'll be able to develop Sierra Leone. When I take your own example, a visionary, a builder like Yeniva Sisay, and many more in Sierra Leone that we do know, like you know and I know, and they are trying their bit in their maybe imperfect way, but in their very passionate ways.
Right.
But things are still not getting to where they are supposed to be. Um, that leads to a little bit of reflection around what are the tools that we are avoiding, or what are we really doing wrong? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to put all of those efforts and then disappear, and it doesn't happen, and then another generation comes and tries. So what exactly do you think we are avoiding in terms of the tools or things that we really need to start thinking of implementing in this ecosystem?
I think character development is something that we're not talking about. It's something that we
Okay.
avoid. I just think about I'm Sierra Leonean-American. I was born in the States, and being in Sierra Leone is a choice for me. But the values in which my parents instilled in me as a child, I always felt like these are things that make me Sierra Leonean. This is what makes me different. I think we've moved away from actually implementing values, characters, moral standing, into everything that we do, and it's a reflection of who we are and the progress that we are not making. We are full of potential, but we cannot be able to build on that potential if we don't have people who act and behave in the right moral standing, if we don't have people who reflect character values that are about leadership, about integrity, about being outstanding. I think that we shun excellence. We try to say excellence is elitist, and it's not. I think that that's an important part, is that, as soon as someone articulates himself that you're trying to show off or you're trying to be different, you're trying to be this. No. How about I'm just trying to be excellent? How about not just celebrating excellence instead of just cowering it down? Meaning that if the person carries themselves with confidence, then you have to think that there's something wrong with them. These are all character traits that are really important that we need to start building from childhood, so that when people walk out, they know that I am excellent. I want to be excellent. I don't want to be mediocre. It's not who I want to be. It's not what I want to reflect. And it should be a reflection of our country or who we are as a people.
Absolutely. Deliver character. So, like when you said character, I was like, you nailed it. Because at the end of the day, discipline has been given the the acclamation that it needed. Everybody's talking about, oh, you need to be very disciplined, you need to have clear goals, you need to have this and that to succeed in business or in life. But how can you do business with someone who doesn't have integrity? Someone who is always thinking of how can I get the most out of this? Who is not having maybe the same ambitions for what you guys are building for the country, for the community, but is just thinking of, what can I get out of this? And then at the same time, since you're not exuding all of those qualities, then you think that anybody who's exuding it is maybe is a fake or like arrogant, as he was saying. So making sure then that we build the culture of of normalizing. We normalize having good character.
Yes.
And making sure that people really step away from mediocrity, which is really, I think, a plague for our society. I think I've gained the right to talk about Sierra Leone in one of the best, the most authentic ways and genuine ways, because I've spent my like 13 years in Sierra Leone. But as Africans, you're American, you know that when we live here, we go to America, we spend 5 years, we start say, I'm looking for citizen. You spend 10 years in a country, in African country, they're still looking at you like a stranger. So I always tell them, "I born picking ya at this point time. So whatever you have to say, I have also the right to say."
Yeah.
But it's really hurtful to see people spoil their potential just because the wins, the small wins, and then the mindset of how do I make sure that I get the most out of this. It's really painful. I think the other thing that I have identified as an issue is the fact that we play average.
All the time.
Yes. We like, if I have nice shoes and nice clothing, I think I've arrived. And I have a nice car that I can like show the neighborhood that I look at my car good. But then you are surrounded with palm bodies.
Yeah.
You're surrounded with people who are in the darkness at night when maybe you have solar or something. And you think you are okay with average income. You think you're okay with a business that is maybe okay, not even thriving.
Yeah.
So that culture of just building something average is, I think, also really plaguing us.
I mean, I totally agree.
Mm.
Like I said, the mediocrity, the fact that it's just status quo. This is how it is. Just leave it that way. This is how we do it. This is how it's been going before. You guys are always trying to change things. If we don't implement change, change will never happen. Change will never take place. And if we keep going at the average or mediocrity, status quo, we will continue to see it circle back. You talked about us coming, in this generation trying to fix. I feel like my parents' generation was trying to fix. I don't want my daughter's generation to be in the same predicament. So this is why I'm so passionate about sharing my story, sharing my gifts, and making sure that we're creating a future generation of young leaders who are changing and shifting the way that we think about Sierra Leone.
Absolutely. And what you was saying just reminded me of a conversation I had with Dolly, the owner of the Stafford Lodge, and she was like, when we black people come to Sierra Leone or come to Africa, and like see the garbage and say, oh, why are we having this? How you guys are trying to be just complicated. The white people come here, they don't say anything. That they also forget that maybe we care more because it's us. Yeah, it's our people. It's us who care and who should be able to tell each other what we really would want to see, what is better, and what we have the potential of becoming. So knowing your story of coming from being raised in the States and coming in Sierra Leone, especially from for your case where it's a choice, you decided to come back and build here. So I know you mentioned character, you mentioned a lot of those issues, but like especially in the journey of becoming, what has been difficult to find for you to build that culture of nurturing the self, the culture of building your own excellent standards and keeping it, but then more specifically being able to go back to the self. So you mentioned that meditation is your goal to practice with all of the other rituals that you have, and then even that that belief and that decision of I'm investing in my self-care. I do also matter, and I'm gonna pour into myself. So what part of the culture, be it the culture of competitiveness, the culture of you name it, whatever it is, that really could hinder it for you, but could also hinder it for people who are trying the same.
I think the culture of tradition. This is the way things have been. This is the way we've always. Now, so we did do Anaya. This whole idea of mediocrity is probably the biggest one, because why do you want to do something different? Why do you care so much? Why do you always have to be the person to bring this up? I hear that. I've heard that a lot in my journey of becoming. It becomes frustrating. You think about it, you're like, God, you gave me this purpose. You gave me this vision, this thing that I'm supposed to do, and I want to execute. And I know that it's for the better, but maybe they don't really want it. Maybe it's not really needed. But then again, you go back to searching within yourself and in that quiet space of who you are, thinking about what it is, what's your purpose. And a purpose has not always been shiny. It's not always been given a gold road or a gold plated road. So staying steadfast in what your purpose is, but really just aligning with what you have a vision of. So I think that that's where I kind of tie my lines.
That's amazing. That's very cool. So for people, for youth, men and women who are trying to become the best versions, better versions of themselves, and who are struggling with rebranding themselves, thinking that maybe it's fake, thinking that maybe it's a mask. So are fighting a lot of imposter syndrome.
I was just gonna say that
Yeah,
word.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we are thought in terms of what we were yesterday. So you hear people telling me, I know you, I saw you were yesterday. How you go pretend you were? So you are not even allowed, you don't have the permission for you to now aspire to becoming something else. So that is really very hard for the youth, for the builders, for our younger generation. So how could they rebrand their own life, their own selves, to really build a version that they know is waiting out there, is reachable, and is what would allow them to act on their dreams?
Yeah, I think doing a lot of reading, research, and a lot of soul searching to find out who you really are.
Yeah.
It's never easy. The imposter syndrome happens to everyone. I am the queen of rebranding, reinventing. I see nothing wrong with it. I actually lean into it because you talk about it. It is becoming. It's never a linear journey. It's not a destination. It's something that you are continuing to unfold into. And so I think it's one of my superpowers. It's one of my strengths. And I take it as something that I hold very near and dear to me, that I can always become a different version of myself. How you share that to other people, I think, is an ongoing journey. Even I doubt myself sometimes. I have friends who say, you don't even share a lot of the work that you do. You don't even share all these things. Why aren't you putting this on social media? It's not my way. But I have to lean into it in today's day and age. You've got to move with the times. You've got to be able to. So finding a balance that works for you is how I'm able to balance that out for myself.
Mm. And then when we're talking about rebranding, then what are the tools? I appreciate the going back into your exploring your own soul, your own identity, and knowing who you are. But I think the difficulty for for the younger generation is more of, now what are the tools that I can use? Reading was one that you mentioned. Um, Maybe leaning into also showcasing what you're doing, even though that's at the same time the culture that is giving people a lot of anxiety. So I know you being maybe a rebranding or branding queen. What else could you suggest that youth and entrepreneurs lean into?
Again, networking, finding your niche, right? Getting with the right type of people. When you want to see this version of yourself and you see the version of yourself, then you need to act and believe that you are that version of yourself. Surround yourself with the people that will be able to support that version of yourself. I'm always into research as well. So reading is one thing, but also researching, seeking information about that version of yourself that you want to be. You don't just arrive in that kind of way. What type of research did you need to be able to find out? What kind of skills do you need to develop? What kind of resources are out there? One thing that I could say about 2025, the internet is full of resources. I take advantage of it all of the time, from AI to just different influencers, to, again, podcasts, to YouTube. Different ways of finding resources. And sometimes you need to invest in your resources as well. A lot of times people just want to be able to have it for free. If you want to become the best version of yourself, then the person that you need to bet on the most is you. I bet on myself all the time. I invest in myself because no one's going to do it for me. And so I think that those are some of the advice that I would give.
I like the bending onto yourself a lot because we again are a society, a culture that believes that it's selfish to think of yourself, to pour into yourself. And when people see you isolating for you to meditate, and so they think, ah, she doesn't care about us. And then when you're rising at different heights, people, she abandoned her community. So you have to carry all of the load. And you all suffer,
Yeah.
or you are not a good begin.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is really very hard. Yeah. So leaning into the self is something that I really appreciate hearing. And when it still comes to the becoming,
Hmm.
for people like you, Yeniva, the ambition, the skills, the dream and the potential, is embarking into politics something that you explore?
Um, I don't know. You would always say, because for me, I don't find myself to be a political person. I'm passionate about Sierra Leone.
Mm.
I'm passionate about this country growing, moving, and shaping. And so you never know. I'm a multi hyphenate. There's always reinventions and versions of who I am as a person. So who knows what I'll be leaning into in the next 10 to 20 years? You never say never. But at this particular time, no, I don't. The passions that I have are in, and like I said, developing young people, developing this ecosystem, looking at the creative economy. I'm working on my ebook right now about,
Wow.
yeah, the returnee's guide to moving to Sierra Leone. I think I have a lot of experience that I need to share with people who want to not only just move to Sierra Leone, but just want to move to the continent in general. I think, again, we have this shiny idea. People see you on social media and they think that it's all glory, but we need to be able to tell the stories of what actually happened in being able to move and to make the choice.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I asked a question about politics because I know most of us just like want nothing to do with politics because the way it's being done is not the healthiest, the best version that we really want to associate with. But at the same time, um, like if we all say we don't want to get into politics, then who? Then we are choosing. Then we're choosing those who are leading us, and we won't have a word to put into what is happening in our country. But I really get your point. We can serve from various angles. But I'm sure, and I want our viewers to send messages and tell us if they do agree that this is a nice profile for a future president of Sierra Leone. But anyway, as you said, who knows? Who knows? Um, I know that female presidents are not really very something that we experience a lot. Yes, we have and Johnson Sirleaf. We have the Tanzanian president.
Yeah.
Now. But yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of change. I think that we're more ready than we think we are. And there's never the right time. You can never pinpoint this is the time, and no one has the appointed power but the Almighty God to be able to appoint that time. But I feel like He's equipping the right people, the right women. We're seeing it happen. And so once we see a vision of it happening, I mean, my Ellen was the first. Now we have three, well, two now, but one passed, and seeing that actually happen in real time is so inspiring. Young girls can actually be able to see it's tangible, it's doable, it's no longer a myth. And so I think that we're going to be able to see a lot of change come across the continent with just those women daring to do something different.
Absolutely. So yeah, as I was saying, there you have a lot of ways you are serving Sierra Leone, maybe even building the future presidents and leaders. And Power Women 232 is one of your initiatives, and it's a bit how would I even describe it? It's so beautiful and powerful to see purposeful women come together and say, we are celebrating who we are. We are also celebrating our wins. And like we are presenting ourselves as we are. and then unapologetical, but at the same time also bringing to the audiences, to Sierra Leone, things that really matter. The brunches that you mentioned, which is something that people who are really stressed throughout, or who are living stressful lives, who just want to go slay and enjoy, so creating all of those things is just so amazing, and I really appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
But what does it really mean for you, the Power Women 232? Is it like you needed a circle, you needed to build something that you could lean back on, or even the circle of women who could count on each other? What is it exactly? Because for us, we're seeing it from the outside, we're appreciating, we're also benefiting a lot from it. But what was really behind it?
Yeah.
The mind.
What was behind my mind is the fact that we talked about earlier, that in spaces of power negotiation, as I was stepping into places of power and negotiation, I was seeing it male dominated. And it wasn't for the fact that we have women who have the skills, knowledge, and ability. We just weren't put in the place. And we did not have at that time a place in which we can be able to thrive and be able to train, to be able to build the fortitude and the skills. Sometimes iron sharpens iron. So you need to be around other people who have the skills, knowledge, and development, but also go on this journey as well. Power Women 232, we've invested in ourselves, we've invested in our leadership. Many times that we go forward to things unapologetically. Even to know that opportunities are available, you need to be able to have a network. Men have networks all the time. You go to golf club, you go to all these different places, they're networking and they're finding out about the jobs, the skills, the opportunities within the network. Building Power Women 232 was an opportunity for professional women from both entrepreneurship but also professional lines of work to be able to come together to sharpen our skills, to sharpen our knowledge, but also to be able to lean and learn from each other as well. I think we oftentimes hear that women can't work together, and I feel like that's a difficult myth to be able to deal with. And so my goal was to be able to show that even if women come together and you don't have the same vision, you may be from different walks of life, come from different backgrounds, you can still be able to find a center point, a silver lining, a way that you can be able to intersect, connect, build, develop, and again, be an example for these younger women that are coming up. If you don't create it, then no one's going to create it for you. And so how are we going to have the vision that we want to be able to see for our future? So these are some of the reasons why I'm into community building and community building in different types of ways.
That's a beautiful way of building community. And I think like Power into History so contributed to debunking that myth of women cannot work together, because how many years?
Yeah, we celebrated 10 years last year. This year is going to 11 years. Yes.
10 years of working with each other, celebrating each other, and showcasing what is possible when women come together. That's so amazing. So what is next or what's the next chapter, or what's the next aspiration for Yeniva in this journey of becoming, not professionally, but more of even into the person?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I'm leaning into my softness in this era, not having to do beyond. A lot of my seeds have been sown, and so I'm waiting for the harvest. This is my harvest time. It's taking time in rest, in acknowledgement, but still navigating my path in many different ways. Like I told you, the ebook is something that I'm coming out with. Continue to lean into a lot of my event space and a lot of the event management, both conferences, curating events and things like that, and consulting, my project management in many different projects that people are working on right now, from rebranding to building resorts on the peninsula, lots of different things. So I'm still in my thing, but still just resting right now.
I like the result. Yes. When?
So
When are we gonna have results where
Yeah, and that's a whole thing. So I hospitality management is something I did.
Mm.
I was the general manager of the place when it first opened.
Mm.
I've seen lots of different things that happen in hospitality. So working with other hospitality investors right now to be able to get, I mean, been there, done that, helping them to be able to build an excellent project. So within the next 1 to 2 years, to definitely start to see some projects come up.
Amazing, because the destination is just so amazing. Sierra Leone is so beautiful. Freetown is just breathtaking, but it what it takes is just like people in like creatives to take the images of Sierra Leone and make sure that we package it in the best possible ways, and we counter also the narrative of all of the negative stories that are sold about our country, but also being able to say that if you come, there are these beautiful resorts, there are these beautiful areas that you can visit and stay. That's really amazing. So that was such a beautiful conversation.
Thank
I
you. I enjoyed it.
went into it, and I'm so inspired, and I'm really glad that we had you, Yeniva, today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Aminata. Thank you for what you're doing, having these conversations. It's so valuable. Crave for development and everything that you do is so important for what we have. I think that sometimes it goes unsaid. I want to tell you that we appreciate you. We accept you. And, I continue to wish you the best of luck. And I hope that the audience are able to grow and learn from everything that you're actually contributing to the ecosystem.
Oh, thank you so much. We've also seen you, Yeniva. We did see the amazing things that you're doing. Sometimes we don't know that, even as you said, the role modeling, the fact of being truly who you are and claiming it, is like inspirational for other people. We don't know it, but I think the fact that we don't know it, we're doing it because that's who we are, because that's what we feel like, and that's our authentic self. It's really where the gist is. So thank you so much, you too, for what you're doing. And yes, for our viewers, we would want to know how your journey of becoming has been. What are you struggling with? What are the difficulties? What would you need help with? Or what is one thing, one belief, one system that you really would want us to debunk? That you do believe that if we practice it, or if we really let go of it, we will reach to greater heights. Thank you so much. And my last word to you would be that becoming is not a brand. It's the sum of all the different parts of us that have carried us this far. Thank you, and see you next episode.